Hi, I'm Jodi Carlton, and I'm a neurodiverse relationship expert. This video is part 2 of a two-part series that I'm doing on codependency in neurodiverse relationships. Part 1 is 6 signs of codependency in neurodiverse relationships, so be sure and go watch that one as well. So next, let's talk about why codependency does have a tendency to happen in neurodiverse relationships. I see this codependent dynamic a lot. So let's go through some of the reasons why it tends to show up. And number one is executive dysfunction. So when one or both partners struggle with tasks like time management or organization, the other may step in to fill gaps without addressing the imbalance in shared responsibility until it becomes overwhelming. I have several other videos and blogs about executive dysfunction, so go check those out if you're not as familiar with that. But caregiving partners often find it more efficient to handle tasks themselves rather than allowing the time and space for their neurodivergent partner to complete them. And in some cases, the caregiving partner may have really strong skills in time management or organization, and this can lead to frustration or impatience when their neurodivergent partner completes tasks in a way that doesn't meet their expectations or standards. Now, neurodivergent partners oftentimes recognize that the other partner can do something more efficiently or more effectively and may frequently say, well, you can do it better or you can do it faster. And although that may be true, what ends up happening is the caregiving, the overfunctioning partner ends up taking on an imbalanced portion of the load instead of giving those tasks or leaving those tasks that a neurodivergent partner can take care of, leaving it to them to do, even though it may take more time and effort for them to do it. Now, another reason is some couples may be really hyper-focused on harmony. This can happen in neurotypical relationships too, but in any relationship, when one partner may fear conflict or both may fear it due to the other partner's difficulty processing criticism, this could lead to avoidance of tough conversations. Additionally, many codependent caregivers had childhood experiences with a controlling or neglectful parent who prioritized their own needs above their child's. And in this type of family dynamic, children often learn to be peacemakers and minimize their efforts to ensure that others are prioritized, which is a coping mechanism as a child. It's a survival response, but as an adult in a relationship, it's very dysfunctional and problematic. Just yesterday, I met with a couple where the ADHD wife had an important realization, and she'd been unconsciously acting as the middleman between her autistic husband and her family. So she also recognized that her family of origin has a dysfunctional communication style and holds significant negative narratives about mistakes, which prevents them from being able to joke casually or to laugh at themselves when they make a mistake. Her husband, on the other hand, has this witty, teasing personality, but she felt anxious about how her family might perceive him. And so in response, she took on the role of peacemaker and inserted herself into the interactions to try to smooth things over. Now, for many people, like my client, these codependent behaviors persist into adulthood until the person recognizes their own worth and the importance of prioritizing their preferences and needs. So embracing self-care and asking for help, setting boundaries are essential steps toward fostering healthier personal and relationship dynamics to avoid this codependent type of pattern in your relationship. Another thing that can lead to codependency in neurodiverse relationships and other relationships is societal pressure. So one partner may feel the pressure to fix or normalize their partner's behaviors to fit conventional relationship expectations. So they may translate or adapt excessively to bridge the gap between their partner and others. So in another example, a neurotypical husband that I worked with regularly felt the need to speak for his wife in social settings. And he often interrupted her. This happened in session with me as well. He would talk for her without giving her the opportunity to respond. And so his behavior felt really controlling and diminishing to his wife, who also experienced, she experienced shame when he defended his behavior saying he was trying to help her. I'm only trying to help, because he didn't want others to think she was weird or feel uncomfortable himself by her awkwardness. Some neurodivergent partners, however, are quite anxious in social interactions due to being misunderstood and judged regularly throughout their lives. So they often willingly depend on their partners to speak for them or to act on their behalf at times to coordinate social engagements or personal appointments. And that ends up placing more pressure on the partner to carry the social and mental load. So this two-way dynamic where one partner willingly takes on too much responsibility and the other readily avoids it is a root of codependency. So how do you break this cycle of codependency in a neurodiverse relationship? Well, first of all, you want to set healthy boundaries. You want to learn how to set healthy boundaries. These boundaries are essential for both partners to feel safe and respected. And this means clearly communicating your needs and limits without guilt or shame. And remember, if you haven't heard me talk about boundaries before, go back and look at some of my videos and read my blogs. But boundaries are not about the requirements we place on others. It's the parameters we give ourselves in order to honor ourselves. So boundaries are about what we need and what we have to have for ourselves to be healthy and how we're going to honor our own needs. We always want to let people know that they have the freedom and the right to choose for themselves how they behave, what they say. But then we can honor ourselves by saying, if you choose this, then I'm going to need to do this for me. That's a boundary. Go back and read my blog or watch my video about boundaries. Another thing to reverse this cycle of codependency is to really encourage shared responsibility. So instead of stepping in to fix every problem, codependent caregivers can encourage and empower their partners to develop skills, take ownership of their contributions to the relationship. You want to be careful with that term of you need to own it or take responsibility, but encouragement is different than blame. You want to make sure you're not blaming. And so this has to be done in a non-judgmental and a non-critical manner to avoid shaming your partner. And to you don't want to increase anxiety to meet expectations. And then if you are the outsourcer, then you want to look at what are ways that you can actually take on your own personal responsibility for yourself, and how can you accommodate yourself to do tasks in the relationship that you've been outsourcing to your partner. So both of you need to prioritize self-care. Both partners need time to nurture your individual identities. You're not just a couple as an identity. You are two individual human beings. So you want to make sure you're pursuing personal hobbies, friendships, and goals outside of the relationship. A healthy relationship is not just about the marriage or the relationship. It's made up of two really healthy individuals. Lastly, you really want to foster open communication. So you want to learn how to practice honest and respectful conversations about feelings, frustrations, expectations. Learn how to acknowledge your differences in ways of thinking, the way you feel and use emotion, language even differently, and how you just go about life differently. And nobody's right or wrong. And you want to recognize that misunderstandings are going to happen, but approach them with curiosity rather than blame. Healthy relationships are built on a foundation of communication, boundaries, and shared responsibility. So that doesn't mean that every task or role will be split evenly, but rather that both partners feel valued, respected, empowered, safe. And if you've identified codependent types of dynamics in your relationship, remember that change begins with small intentional steps. So learning to set boundaries, practicing self-care, and encouraging autonomy. I have an entire course about communication. Go over to my website, check it out, jodicarlton.com. Check out the courses. That course is specifically designed to help you with communication issues that will reduce the codependent dynamic in your relationship. So I hope this was all helpful, and I look forward to seeing your comments below. And if my videos really benefit you, don't forget to subscribe, because that will help you get notification of new videos. So until next time.